Winter has really struck with a vengeance here at Watersheddings for this quarter-final game, Oldham versus Wigan. 2 years ago, of course, it was Oldham who put Wigan out of the cup, and with 2 inches of snow on this pitch here today, then conditions are going to play a major part in the game. It's going to be a very hard duel, but Wigan, I'm sure, will want to erase that memory and go through to the semi-final. The team news today then, Kevin Iro thankfully back after injuring that hand, and Sean Edwards comes in there at number 6, so Wigan virtually at full strength for today's quarter-final game. On the Oldham team there's Duncan Platt, the former Widnes player, he's at full-back, and Ian Bates steps in for the injured Mike Ford at number 7. Paul Round, a former St Helens second-row forward, a danger man, speedy second-rower, he's there at number 12. The referee for today's game, David Carter, gets the game in motion. Joe Lydon kicks off. Tremendous roar from the Wigan crowd. They're all behind the Oldham line at the back there, packed into that far stand. And probably outnumbering the Oldham supporters at home today. This is going to be a hard tussle. Conditions are going to be very, very difficult. A slippery ball, a greasy surface. That Wigan defence, which has been so strong of late, pushing Oldham back there. That goes back to fullback Duncan Platt, left-footed, but that was offside. Certainly no doubt about that. And the penalty to Wigan. Andy Gregory there calling out the moves as Joe Lydon prepares to put the ball in touch. Wigan, Adrian Shelford returned back after that injury when he was taken off against Leeds. He looks good there as he takes the ball forward. 2 straight drives from the 2 props. And there's the third one as Andy Platt drives forward, getting closer and closer to that Oldham line. Now the move as Gregory tries the break, with Paul Round in position there. That's all right as Edwards picks it up. Kevin Iro trying to get forward progress, but good Oldham tackling. They'll be keyed up for this game. They've pushed Wigan backwards. There's Edwards with the high cross kick, and there's Tony Iro chasing the ball. Will it be a try? It's knocked forward, but offside, I think. Yes. The referee is indicating that Tony Iro was in front of Sean Edwards when he kicked that ball. What a dangerous situation for Oldham to be in, and Wigan almost scoring in the first few minutes of the game. The young Ian Bates just having to cover on top of that ball then. As Chris O'Sullivan, the number 6, tries to make a darting run, but Ellery Hanley and Andy Gregory too strong for him there. Referee has awarded the scrum. That's another knock-on, so handling mistakes already in this first couple of minutes of this game. And the pitch will certainly not get any better as time goes on. Free kick to Oldham. Get in there, says the referee. Wigan front row not getting down. So the Oldham crowd perhaps now getting behind their team. But no, Ian Sherratt has lost the ball. Nicky Kiss very quickly on it. And Andrew Goodway's first touch of the ball there. Back at his former club, Oldham. And Nicky Kiss also an Oldham player, linking well with Gregory and Hanley. Good play. Great Wigan play there. The Oldham defence shooting back. Gregory puts the kick in there. That's a great kick. It's not gone into touch, and Platt gets on it, losing it almost. So Wigan have punished Oldham for their indiscretions and their mistakes, and have driven Oldham back towards their line. He's a big, strong centre, Charlie McAllister, former rugby union player, but certainly plenty of strength in him. Well, there's certainly no way forward through Adrian Shelford and Nicky Kiss, and we're on the last tackle. Steve Hampson, who may well be tested quite severely today in these conditions, recovers the ball, but Chris O'Sullivan it was who made the tackle. Gregory showing neat footwork, but Oldham not let it give him any room whatsoever. Certainly it's going to be difficult to change direction here today, the very slippery conditions, and you can see Andy Gregory already covered in snow and mud. So Edwards into the action, and that's another high kick in towards the middle of the field. As Platt comes across. And there he's met by his brother, Andy. And it was Andy who came off the better there. Well, Trevor Croston, who's a Wigan-born lad, I'm sure he'll want to play well today. And Andy Ruane, a hooker with a fair kick on him, as Hampson links well with Tony Arrow. But there's one thing about this Oldham side, I think today, obviously they'll be highly motivated to defend and stop this Wigan machine. Edwards changes the kicking tactics, but perhaps gone a little bit too far. And Paul Lord goes back. But again, Wigan pushing Oldham back towards their own 22. Paul Round, who's been injured, and there was a great doubt whether he would play today. He certainly seems to be full of running at the moment. Steve Hampson covers well on that one, but there's nobody with him, so Hampson has to drift across himself as the Oldham defensive wall comes up. Oh, a fine run from Andy Platt, as was shown against Leeds. From acting half-back, both second row forwards driving away and making good yardage. So the ball back to Joe Lydon for the kick, and it's up the slope here at Watersheddings into that corner. Steve Robinson gets back well. This is going to be a war of attrition. It's going to be a tremendous battle with the elements as they are, and because it's going to be a very tiring game, it's going to be late on, I think, where we're going to get any real chances, when the stamina of both sides will be tested to the full. That could well be an obstruction. It is indeed, yes. The referees seem to be fairly general now in their rulings on this. When a player comes in front and one runs behind the back, and you can see that the referee stopped play there. On the far side of the field, it's Dennis Bett who's coming on the field, and Ian Lucas limping off. So that will mean some rearrangement in the forward play. As Gary Hyde ran that one out, but only straight into Joe Lydon and Tony Iro. It's Gary Hyde who's come off the worst there, as Ian Sherritt takes the ball up. Well, Oldham had a great win for them on last weekend against Hull, and they won 9 points to 7, and that must put them in good heart for today's game. On the last tackle, Duncan Platt left-footed. Well, certainly the ball is not going to roll a great deal today on this surface. Going to stick in what is a very difficult surface. And Dennis Betts first in the action, a great ball to Andy Goodway. But all defence moving up quickly, and Andrew just unable to get that ball out. Well, those are the conditions. The ball will get little bits of snow on it, and it's going to be difficult to handle. It's going to be a game of mistakes, and the team that makes the least will definitely probably come out on top. A bit ambitious in their passing, Oldham, and that's Adrian Shelford moving up quickly. On the last tackle now. That's straight in touch, Chris O'Sullivan. It's going to be a handover. Just outside the Oldham 22. And Andy Goodway, who's probably moved up, I think, to the front row. Well, O'Sullivan trying to make up for that mistake when he kicked into touch there. A fine tackle on Ellery Hanley. Gregory making a beautiful break, not quite able to link. So all the pressure in this first 7 minutes of play on this Oldham side, with their defence holding on. Gregory this time with the kick, and that's nice and wide, and there's Tony Ira coming for the ball. Lord gets there, but it's still in play, is it? It's in touch, the flag's gone up. So Oldham winning that rather scrappy scrummage there. And a good way, showing good tackling technique there and bringing those first two tackles down. Great run for Tony Arrow. Mark Allister coming in there and being spoken to, I think, by the referee for that tackle. Tony Arrow looks none the worse for wear, whereas Keith Mills, going off the side of the field there, has just given some treatment to Adrian Shelford. And Joe Lydon and Ellery Hanley have decided to go for goal. Jed Byrne going off the field with the bucket. Substitute number 14 for today. So Lydon, who's been in excellent kicking form. This is a long kick with difficult conditions. He's kicked it well, but I think it's going to be short and slightly wide of that right-hand post. So still no score here after 10 minutes play. Well, a buzz around the crowd then, but the referee said play on. And again, Wigan moving up quickly. Chris O'Sullivan having no space whatsoever. With a chance going to put pressure on Duncan Platt, and Edwards comes up along with Dennis Betts, but that's a testing kick for Hampson. He takes it well. But a fine tackle from Paul Lord. Certainly the game is going to be very tight indeed. We've shown already both sides tremendously strong in the tackle. Lydon testing Paul Lord with that high kick, and that's bouncing towards the touchline. But no way forward for the young winger. And Duncan Platt will have to take this ball away himself. And he does so well. He gets out of Dennis Betts' tackle. Dennis going a little high and Duncan Platt going underneath. Offside, says the referee. A large cheer from the Oldham crowd, but certainly both defences probably been allowed a little bit of leeway by Mr. Carter. Platt finds touch on that far side. And perhaps the second occasion that Oldham have been in the Wigan half. Taken up by Leo Casey. And there's Ian Sherratt, the big number 8 forward. He's quite a handful. And keeping those legs pumping, that's been appreciated by the Oldham crowd. The run around and the link with the second row forwards as Trevor Croston takes that ball in. And there's Keith Newton getting into the action. But loose forward. Now Oldham fairly flat, and Andy Owain is the one who's going to do the kicking. He finds touch in that corner. A fine left-footed kick from the hooker. So Wigan under pressure perhaps for the first time in this game. Just 5 metres from their own line. And Hanley takes the ball away from the back of the scrum. But a posse of Oldham tacklers there bring the captain down. Andy Platt drifting sideways and trying to get to that gap. And again, Goodway taken away from acting halfback. This has been the pattern. Rather than moving it or hitting it one man out, it's been a succession of drives from acting halfback. But Oldham defence has hung on. We're on the last tackle now. Lydon in position at the back. Another sidestep. Another swerve past Ian Bates, the scrum half. That's taken by Paul Lord. Way forward for Leo Casey as Adrian Shelford and Ellery Hanley bring him down. So Oldham moving it wide, the halfbacks linking with second row 4 Paul Round, who plays fairly wide out normally, running at the halfbacks and the centres. Certainly one of the paciest second rows around. And there another excellent kick from the Oldham hooker, Andy Rain. And he takes it away from the scrum and pushes off one and almost makes that gap. Dean Bell getting into the action, but that sidestep off the left foot a little bit more difficult in these sort of conditions. And once again, tight Oldham defence, pinning Shaun Edwards. Lovely little chip from Gregory, and still in play, and he's playing beautiful football with it. This is a chance. Edwards is streaking through. Will he get the touchdown? Is it a try? It's a try for Shaun Edwards. A brilliant piece of play from the two international halfbacks. And Gregory was who changed the tactic, kicked over the top. And those legs went sprinting through, and with tremendous control of that football, he managed to push it past Duncan Platt. And there in support, as ever, Shaun Edwards, his international and Wigan halfback partner. And the first try and the first blood going to Wigan, 4 points to 0. Joe Lydon tees the ball up high. That's a fair kick. He's kicked it well. It's a shout from the crowd. The flags are up. 6-0 to Wigan. So Duncan Platt restarts for Oldham and pushes that ball deep down into the Wigan 22. And again, Hampson linking with Tony Iro, but that Oldham defence just holding on. Adrian Shelford hitting that ball up and trying to find that gap and making good yardage there, keeping those legs pumping. Well, this is certainly strong defence from Oldham, and the variation in tactics from Andrew Gregory and Shaun Edwards, the two halfbacks, with that little kick over, really testing them. Fine kick from Lydon, but taken well by Duncan Platt. And Duncan Platt taken well by Kevin Iro, as the big New Zealander brings down the big Oldham fullback. Ian Sherratt well met there by Adrian Shelford. Ruane again in with the kick. And certainly with the slope towards the Wigan end of the ground. Ruane pushing Wigan backwards. Well, that's come out on the Oldham side, although the scrum collapsed completely on the open side. O'Sullivan looking for runners there, but nobody coming, and he had to take the ball in himself. So a lack of support for the Oldham number 6. Well, a variation at the play of the ball then, and Sherratt making useful ground. These two big props are looking a handful at the moment for Wigan. They've both made good yardage. So, on the last tackle. Good play from Oldham on that side, but now Round using the kick, and that's an excellent kick indeed. Who's taking it? None other than Steve Hampson. Under the greatest of pressure, and against players at least 4 or 5 inches taller than him, it was Hampson who got up there to secure the 22 tap. Dean Bell in space, trying to find that gap. So Dennis Betts, who came on for Ian Lucas. The ball lost there, and Oldham have recovered. Paul Round taking some stopping there, and that certainly seemed to be a knee from Round as the referee came in to watch the action, but no penalty given. So hard and furious as Oldham keep the ball alive, keep the momentum going, putting the pressure on the Wigan side as we come to the last tackle. And O'Sullivan this time push it through, but that's not going to find touch. It finds Hampson, in fact. Gary Hyde on this right wing. There's changed places with Paul Lord as Goodway hits the ball close to the play the ball. So back to Joe Lydon once more, and another fine high testing kick. Well taken by Duncan Platt. Excellent skills from this former Widnes fullback. Dean Bell certainly not confining himself to the wing. He's been involved in several midfield movements and getting himself involved in a few tackles here and there. He certainly won't want to freeze on that right wing today. Tom McAllister, the big strong centre, but met equally by the strong Andrew Goodway and Nicky Kiss. Fine tackling. Platt coming into the line to try and make that overact, but he has to drift across the field to try and get outside Kevin Iro. And the ball went forward on the last tackle. So that's going to be another handover. It looks as if Sherford has lost that ball, and in fact it's been won by Oldham, so some uncharacteristic errors have been made here as Round tries to find the gap past Dennis Betts. Certainly Wigan allowing Oldham a little bit more advantage in possession here, as they've lost the ball on 2 occasions in the last 3. Went backwards, says the referee. So it's play on, and Oldham breathe again. There's certainly some pressure on this Wigan defence now. So Andy Goodway letting that ball go into touch, not wanting to risk losing possession. And he's going to take up position, I think, in the front row. A little bit of concern there. The referee saying that it touched a Wigan player, and certainly it seemed to drift past Andy Goodway. So it's Oldham ball. But we haven't got a ball on the field, so that's going to be quite difficult. At last, Ian Bates manages to secure the ball from one of the ball boys. And Oldham in possession again, so a succession of defence here for Wigan. And this really is testing their stamina. Well, Nicky Kiss has taken the ball. He's consulting his touch judge. The touch judge saying nothing. He's saying that he didn't see what went on. So Nicky Kiss rather agreed, but it's going to be a scrum down. And I'm just trying to decide who's going to feed it. I think it's going to be Andrew Gregory. So at last, Wigan possession. Will they maintain it as Hampson comes into the line? Oh, no way forward for Ellery there. Certainly Oldham moving up very, very quickly indeed. Gregory finding nowhere to go and links with Nicky Kiss. And Kiss making a fine effort there from nothing. Real determination from the former Saddleworth Rangers player. He's certainly taken some stick for that win 2 years ago as Iro tries to go past Lord and does so, flings the ball back inside. And there, a clash of bodies as Ian Sheridan, I think, drives on that ball, but it's Ellery Hanley who's got back well. Great piece of play from the loose forward. So, on the last tackle. Joe Lydon puts that high kick up, testing Duncan Platt. But again, Platt takes the ball well. He's having a fine game at full-back for this Oldham team. But Wigan back in the Oldham 25. As we approach half an hour's play, and in fact, that's been won back for Wigan. Nicky Kiss and Andy Goodway there. Great ball from Andy Gregory. Only desperate cover there from Oldham, stopping Dean Bell. But Wigan putting on the pressure. Can they make it tell as Edwards has to step back inside? Oldham recover. The half-backs linking well, and we've got a gap on this left-hand side, but Round comes across well. Andrew Goodway slides about 5 yards on the snowy surface. And Ellery Hanley, it's going to be one-man stuff here because there's no supporters. Wigan, we're lying very flat, and we're on the last tackle. Great play from Lydon as Betts finds the gap. Leads with Goodway. Goodway pushes off Lord. That could be back to one as Hampson kicked it through, because certainly looked as if he'd been knocked forward by the Oldham player. But ambitious play from Wigan as Joe Lydon switched that ball across the play of the ball. And certainly the overlap was here on this side. So respite for Oldham. There's been no let-up in defence, though, on either side. Very aggressive tackling. So Wigan putting their fourth hard game together in as many matches. Test of their character and discipline, as well as their physical and mental powers. Duncan Platt under pressure there. Now Dean Bell drifting across. Can he find that elusive gap in the Oldham defence? Not so this time, but he'll keep trying. Well, Shelford has lost the ball in the tackle. So again, perhaps the slippery conditions, the slippery ball, having an effect on the handling of the players. Well, as the conditions worsen in the middle of the field, it's going to be more difficult to change direction and keep your feet, maintaining your balance. Sherratt bouncing off and having another go. He certainly had a good, strong first half as the number 8. And so is Ruane with his kicking, but there, superbly picked up by Steve Hampson. Again, Kevin Iro trying to breach that Oldham defence, but it's not yielding at all under any sort of pressure. Edwards has to double back. Sullivan comes round the top, but just misses Edwards' head. Platt offloading well, but that one rather misdirected. So Andy Goodway's pass finishing up in the dugout. It'll be a scrum down with Oldham's feed. Platt in the line and beating Hampson. But Lydon coming in well, spotting it beautifully and cutting out any further progress. McAllister getting in close to the ruck and linking there with second row forward Trevor Croston. And the Oldham fans getting behind their team. And McAllister tries to use that strength of his in pushing off Andy Platt, but no way forward. But a testing time here for Wigan now. 6 points in the lead. This could well be the kick under the post. It's Sullivan who pushes it wide. There's Paul Lord in position. Has he scored? No way! The touch judge was there. Certainly Tony Iro getting back there, but an astute kick there. It was Iro who touched the ball down. It's going to be a drop out under the post. Well, the drop kick, a difficult business under these sort of conditions, and Lydon only managing to get the ball just 40 yards so out from the Wigan line. Casey offloading well, and the link with Ruane and the youngster half Ian Bates as he tries to go forward. And it's that corner of the ground where the Oldham fans are pushing their team forward with their shouts. That could be obstruction. No, says the referee. Play on. Oldham getting closer and closer to this Wigan line. No way forward for Paul Round there. Fine tackling. McAllister trying to use his strength and go for that line, but just held close. So Wigan come away in that very testing period, and it's a handover. Andy Platt playing it backwards. Well, now the difficult job of getting away from their own line. Drives close to the ruck. And the Oldham defence firing in. So the Wigan player receiving 2, 3 and even 4 tacklers at the same time. 10 yards ground gain, and we're on the last tackle. In the last couple of minutes of this first half. Lydon having to run wide, but again putting in a high kick, which Platt takes well. There goes, in fact, the hooter for half-time. Wigan in the lead by that Sean Edwards try, converted by Joe Lydon. 6 points to 0. It's been a tremendously hard first half. Great defence on both sides, but a real slog in the snow and the mud here at Watersheddings. The referee checks his touch judges, signals the game in motion. The second half begins. Wigan leading by those 6 points. And this is going to be another testing 40 minutes for the Central Park team. Already you can see number 14 there, Kevin Meadows, has come on. We'll have to see in a moment who in fact he's replacing. Well, Wigan sticking to that tactic in their own 22, driving away from acting halfback. Leiden back in position there for the kick. Again, another fine right-footed kick. Platt in excellent position though. Well, that's a fine run from the fullback. Stretching those big legs through the Wigan tacklers. And Wigan back where they started from, on their own 22 line. Oldham trying to hit the gap wide out. And there's substitute Tony Morrison, he's come onto the field as well, so both the Oldham substitutes are here. It looks like Gary Hyde has gone off the field, certainly the centre. As Ruane is under pressure, all sorts of pressure from Leiden there. And Wigan win possession through Ellery handling. Tony Arrow goes down under a posse of Oldham defenders there. Nicky Kiss driving away from Ati halfback. He's made a couple of telling breaks in this game from the same position. Hanley, who's been very closely marked and had no room at all, trying to penetrate that Oldham defence. Dave Hampson finding the touch just 10 metres inside the Oldham half. No, David Carter not happy with that scrummage, and certainly the scrum's fairly even, although Ruane has won one against the head. That certainly looks as if it was feeding, but quite happy to let play go on as Andy Gregory comes quickly round on Ian Bates. Well, there's Platt coming into the line again, but the big fullback being met by his brother, and the referee saying that that is a penalty. He's saying that I had already shouted held and that the ball was ripped out afterwards. So a penalty it is to Oldham. And Duncan Platt, who's the one who had the ball ripped out of his hands, he finds a secure touch. So can Oldham break this Wigan defence down? The two props, Leo Casey, number 10, and Ian Sherritt, have driven aggressively at this Wigan defence. Three tackles gone and the switch of play. The set move there from Oldham as the loose forward Keith Newton comes across, linking with Chris O'Sullivan. And McAllister, who's come closer and closer to the play of the ball and offloading. The value of McAllister is he's such a strong centre, and Oldham putting pressure on the last tackle. There's McAllister again, trying the little kick through. Hampson down well, but the ball's lost, and Oldham in possession again, back to one. The crowd really on their toes now. Can this pressure tell as Wigan defend desperately? Andy Gregory firing in the tackling. Casey meeting Shelford. The switch inside to Sherritt. Oldham getting closer and closer to this Wigan line. It's a great ball out on that right wing. There could be a try for Paul Lord, it is. That was great Oldham play, beautiful distribution. As the ball was moved out quickly, it was Lord on that right wing who had the free run in after some excellent passing. So the Wigan lead cut by 4 points, now at 6 points to 4. So as Joe Lydon Kicks off from the middle. It's the Wigan supporters who've been chanting Wigan and urging their side on. And that support, I'm sure, appreciated by all the players. Kevin Meadows getting his first real taste of action as a second half substitute. Well, there's certainly an urgency in this Oldham side. They're driving forward aggressively and really testing this Wigan defence as Platt takes that ball very well indeed. Hampton lays have a good ball to Dean Bell, but too many Oldham coverers there as Tony Morrison makes the tackle. And Kevin having difficulty there in changing direction on this what's become really a very difficult surface now. It's getting chewed up rather badly in parts. Hanley just back across the field and straightens up. But he was chased all the while by Chris O'Sullivan. And the ball has gone forward. Well, young Ian Bates going into the skirmish for that ball, and I don't think the referee... In fact, he's going to allow play on, so Bates comes out with possession. Well, that's a scrum down. That was knocked forward. Andy Gregory putting all sorts of pressure at the play the ball there. Free kick again, the Wigan front row not getting down. Referee saying, explaining I think to Ellery Hanley. And I think Nicky Kiss is saying that it's their head and that Oldham are trying to pinch the head, Andy Rain trying to pinch the head. And the referee saying quite clearly, get your head down in the scrum. And that's another scrum down because it was touched. But it'll be scrum down and Oldham's ball. That ball shooting out and Gregory getting possession, and that's so vital because Oldham had put a good deal of pressure on the Wigan side, and now Wigan have got the chance at least to make some yardage. Although this Oldham defence has been superb, and that's the sort of effort that's been put in as Edwards goes back there. We're back to one tackle, but Oldham are really piling in with these tackles. Kevin Ira coming in on a burst there. Certainly the overlap was there, but the slippery ball eluded him and Oldham have got back possession again. So this is a real test now as Oldham put the pressure on Wigan in their own 22, just 10 yards short, 5 yards short of that Wigan line. The noise erupting here as O'Sullivan finds the ball right out. Platt coming in well, and that would have been possibly another try there, but the final pass going astray from Kevin Meadows out to Paul Lord, their try scorer. Well, we've had just over 12 minutes of this second half, and it's certainly living up to all expectations despite the extremely difficult conditions. It's a hard-fought cup tie. No quarter given on either side. And Andy Gregory comes round to feed the scrummage. It's a well-won ball, and Ellery Hanley picks it up and loose forward, but Oldham very quickly out again. So Wigan still persisting in driving from acting half-back, and Oldham are firing in 3 and 4 tacklers. As Gregory tries the change in direction, Hampson linking and looking for support. It's a fine run from Hampson, and he's kicked downfield when perhaps he could have passed. It's a fine kick, but the supporting players were with him. So just as we said, the Wigan were playing it tight, close to the play of the ball. It's Gregory who makes the difference and tries the variation, and there was the overlap. Fine run from Hampson. So it's end-to-end stuff now. Wigan have pushed Oldham back towards their own line, and now it's Oldham's turn to try desperately to drive away. And it's similar tackling at this end of the field as well. As Wigan push Oldham backwards, McAllister getting in there. And he's strong, but he can't go through 3 tackles. Well, loose forward, Keith Newton trying to drive the ball away on the last tackle, and it comes back to Ruane, who's put a magical left foot booting up this touchline. It's gone into touch. Dean Bell not wanting to risk touching the ball himself and giving the feed to Oldham. So as we get a very close view of this scrimmage, Ruane trying to pinch the head, you could see on that side, but Wigan managed to get it, and Edwards nearly getting past O'Sullivan, but O'Sullivan very quickly up, makes a fine tackle. He's defended well throughout this game. A dummy from Gregory, the expected pass out there to Andy Goodway, fooling the defence. So little chance today to show any real silky skills, but a hard fought cup tie as Lydon pushes Oldham back. Duncan Platt picks up well, but no ground made as Wigan move up quickly in defence. Well, Steve Robinson, who's seen very little of the ball on this left wing, getting into the action there. Shelford making a big hit there on his opposite number. Tony Morrison, of course, has come on the field as substitute for Paul Round. That's a penalty. So Ellery Hanley inquiring as to the reason. Getting a fair explanation, a fairly lengthy explanation from David Carter. Certainly you could see from the indication there that the ball was pulled out after the tackle. So Wigan back near their own 22 again, and having to defend once more. Well, Dennis Betts pulling off a good tackle there with Andy Platt, and the ball being lost. Ellery Hanley getting on the ball quickly. but there's no relenting in this pressure in the defence. Both sides have worked so hard. Gregory tries a switch of direction. Perhaps he's one of the few players who can actually keep his feet under these very difficult circumstances. But not easy for anybody to drive out as Gregory again tries that little variation, and with that little burst of speed and that good footwork pushes the ball, but Kevin Meadows gets back there and covers the kick. It's certainly been that slight change in tactic, that little variation, which has made the difference. That first try from Shaun Edwards from a similar situation. Wigan win again. But Hampson loses the ball. Certainly the intent was there, but if the big McAllister, who's being summoned to, I think, by the referee, Mr. Carter saying, "Come here, lad." And obviously he will not want him to repeat that sort of incident. That'll be saved for 3 o'clock this morning, I think, for the Bruno Tyson fight. McAllister and Hampson, a different kettle of fish. The penalty going to Wigan. So this war of attrition, 6 points to 4, Wigan in the lead by the narrowest of margins. Can they push down towards that Oldham line and then try and make that situation tell? 3 Oldham defenders there in on Andy Goodway. Andy Platt driving aggressively forward. Switch of play from Andy Gregory. Kevin Iro meeting Charlie McAllister, and then another 3 Oldham defenders coming in. So even the big New Zealander are unable to make much impression there. As the 2 half-backs link. Edwards with the change. But Paul Lord, who's certainly got pace, coming back, and Dennis Betts getting in on that ball, and looks as if he's got possession. No, says the referee, and certainly I think that's probably a bad decision. Under the pressure of Dennis Betts' tackle, Paul Lord lost the ball, and the referee's awarded the penalty. But Sherratt drives out aggressively for Oldham. Well, certainly not the game without incident, as these 2 hard-working props push Oldham forward. The situation you can see in the middle of that field, a sea of black mud with flecks of white snow. Hands must be cold. Conditions here at Oldham almost as bad as they could be. The only good point is it's not raining or snowing. Ruane getting across there and striking that ball. So we've had just over 22 minutes in this second half, just 18 minutes left. Desperately close situation. Wigan hanging on. Oldham anxious to get up towards the Wigan 22. And Nicky Kiss has pinched the ball and gets away with it. So Oldham win possession, lose possession, and Wigan win it, and a chance again to build up some pressure. Big man Adrian Shelford being met by some really strong Oldham tackling. Good way, almost gets in the gap there. Edwards supporting well. Andy Goodway deciding to hold on to that ball, and from the play of the ball, Andrew Gregory puts that ball downfield. Well, the players naturally getting tired now, and perhaps their concentration not at its fullest, and we've really seen rather too many mistakes for continuous rugby. That's a free kick, says the referee, but I'm not so sure what for. He's certainly having a word with Nicky Kiss. A rather lengthy explanation as to why he's given a penalty. Nicky Kiss acknowledging why and having wanting to have a little chat back with him. So a little bit of rapport between the referee and the hookers, but the end result, a penalty taken by Duncan Platt. And once more, Ian Sherratt driving up, and once more the Wigan defence holding out. Well, you have to admire the sheer determination of these players today. Oh, there's a break there from Leo Casey. One of the rare breaks in the game, close to the ruck. O'Sullivan recovers and drifts across the field and makes the break. A fine run there from the Oldham number 6. The pressure once again on this Wigan side in their 22. So, on the last tackle, Ruane, this time right-footed, pushes the ball upfield. Hampson gets across and slides the ball into touch, so that's going to be a strum down and Oldham ball. So Oldham have had a majority of possession in this second half, and that's really been telling. Oldham won once more. It's going to be another testing 6 tackles now for Wigan. The crowd getting behind their teams as Oldham build up the pressure close to the Wigan line. The referee has stopped play. There seems to be an incident. It's a scrum, in fact. So that must have been a knock-on. We couldn't quite see why, but it looks as if it's been a knock-on. But certainly a chance for Wigan to recover. They desperately need possession. They need to build up this ball. But Oldham have won it again, so something definitely happening in the scrummages. As Hampson has to fly in there on Ian Bates. Desperate defence here from Wigan. Leo Casey drives it forward. Getting closer and closer to this Wigan line. 2 points the difference, remember, between the two sides. Oldham moving it wide. There's an overlap on this side. Can they get the ball out? Wigan recover well in defence as Edwards covers. Here's Duncan Platt trying to run round his brother. Kevin Iro gets in there. O'Sullivan looking for the gap there, but the ball's gone down. Wigan eventually win it back. Dennis Betts falling on that ball. It's almost like the days of non-stop possession as Oldham have maintained the pressure on the Wigan 22. And now a respite. Can Wigan take advantage of it and make something of it? Certainly it's much harder to defend in rugby league physically than it is to attack. And it's Wigan who've been doing most of the defending. Ellery Hanley, his shirt covered in mud. The ball back to Lydon. Lydon punching it through and looking for the ball. That's offside. The referee quite certain about the decision, that it went off an Oldham player. As both judges signal to the referee that a substitution is required. It's Jed Byrne who's going to come on to the field from the far side. The number 12 is being put up there. The referee stopped the clock. And number 12 is going to go off the field. That's Andrew Goodway. So Andrew Goodway jogging slowly off the field. And again there'll be some rechange in the situation as far as the Wigan formation is concerned. And possibly Ellery Hanley will have to go into the second row. We shall see. Wigan back on the Oldham 22 for the first time for such a long time. Oh, 2 tackles gone, 2 drives. Now the set move is a switch of direction. Gregory drifts across the field and manages to keep the ball alive. And Bell looking for the gap, but still no way through this Oldham defence. Gregory with the kick through. The plan move, he's pushed it towards the line. Platt covers back and slips and knocks the ball forward. So that's going to be a scrum and a chance for Wigan after all that pressure that they've managed to put up with. As we come to the last 10 minutes of this enthralling quarter-final. Gregory wins the ball. Links with Tony Arrow. Can he get round on that short side? No, the flag stays down, so he's just in the field of play. Wigan build up the pressure, but Shelford takes the ball and 3 Oldham defenders. And still offloads, so the chance is still on. As Meadows flies in there on Ellery Hanley. Oldham have realigned, so the chance perhaps gone. But Wigan in possession. As Byrne gets into the act for the first time. The last tackle now. We've got Lydon on this side and Edwards on the other, and it goes to Edwards. So Edwards is moving the ball and Gregory's in space. Gregory linking with Jared Byrne. There's a chance on his left wing, but the flag has gone up, so that's going to be a handover on the last tackle. Adventurous play from Wigan, almost getting the try that perhaps would have sealed this game for them. Have Oldham got the ability and the mental stamina now to push Wigan back towards their own 22 where they were for such a long time? Well, McAllister has stepped out of 2 tackles there. But Oldham still near their own 22. As Platt comes into the line and loses the ball. Mistakes being made now, perhaps by Oldham. But can Wigan cash in as Gregory shifts, changes the direction? Great ball from Edwards. Can Kevin Arrow get past Duncan Platt? Yes, he can. Another Wigan try out of nothing. Gregory it was who changed the direction. He linked with his half-back partner, Sean Edwards. Edwards made the forward ground and then put in a great pass out to Kevin Arrow. And Kevin powered over past Duncan Platt on this right-hand side. That's 10 points to 4. 6 points advantage to Wigan. Well, Duncan Platt restarts, and there's certainly no shortage of supporters. Both sets of supporters get behind their teams with their various chants. Nicky Kiss fumbling in the mud, but the ball went backwards. So possession still gained. Now 3 drives, and Lydon it is who pumps it downfield, but Platt's in excellent position, and a rare mistake from the fullback who's had a fine game, but the referee said it went backwards. In fact, he's saying that it went off his foot, so it didn't go, it wasn't a knock on, hand and then foot. So play on. What a war of attrition it's been between these two sets of forwards. Tremendously hard encounter there. But it's been a very fair game, a very even-tempered game. Some excellent defence on both sides. And very, very strong tackling. The ball lost, it's gone down, it's gone forward. So Wigan have won that ball at the scrimmage and have driven it away twice through Edwards and Hanley. Dennis Betts fumbling. The referee has decided that that was a knock-on. He's then decided it was a mistake by himself. He's admitted that, but he's blown the whistle, so he's going to give the scrummage and he's going to give it Wigan ball. Well, that's the first time we've had an infringement for feeding in the game. There's no doubt that it was, but so have about 20 others today. A 6-point lead for Wigan, and that won't help Oldham's cause. Lost possession, no 22. A letter for Wigan. Kevin Iro, strong and powerful. A great burst from the New Zealander, appreciated by the crowd. And again lost, so obviously conditions get worse and worse as the game's gone along. There's just 3 minutes left for play. This is a great run from Tony Iro, but that is an obstruction. The referee has allowed play on to see if any event had accrued. No, it hasn't. And so the penalty is given by that tackle of Kevin Meadows on Tony Iro. Two points, I think, will be vital. Will Ellery Hanley decide for the kick a go? Yes, indeed he does. So with just 1.5 minutes left for actual playing time. So not a difficult kick in terms of distance, but the conditions are awkward. That's been kicked, it's over. That surely will be the kick that puts Wigan into the draw for the semi-finals. It's 12 points to 4 as we approach the last minute of actual playing time. A little dispirited now, Oldham, who played so hard in this game, moving forward now. They had their chance perhaps in this second half when they built up possession, but didn't manage to make it count. Now in injury time, and Wigan will be content just to play the ball, keep possession and then put the kick downfield, but no, says the referee, that wasn't played properly. Not releasing the ball, so a penalty to Oldham, and Platt has got to put this ball in touch. We've played half a minute of injury time. Can Oldham get the try that they so desperately worked for in this second half? Not with excellent defence like that. Wigan moving up once again in defence as a man. No gaps there. Time running out for Oldham now. They try that switch back close to the play of the ball, and looks like Ian Sherrod, who's almost gone close. That could be a try. No, desperately close, almost reminiscent of the Paddy Kerwin try 2 years ago. But we're on the last tackle. Wigan hold on. That's going to be a handover. That's the last tackle. There goes the hooter. The referee hasn't heard it, I don't think. The referee's not heard it. He's awarded a penalty. There's so much noise at that end of the ground, but his attention has been drawn now. Hanley will take the tap and take the tackle. And still the referee hasn't heard the hooter. It's gone several times. Yes, he's heard it now. The Wigan fans erupt in delight. It's been a tremendously hard game. Oldham contributing a great deal. It's been hard. The conditions have been abysmal. We can just see the two brothers going off the field together here on the right-hand side. Duncan and Andy Platt. Andy Platt coming towards us, shaking hands now. Duncan Platt walking off with Steve Hampson on that far side. But friendly rivalry here. It's been a hard, fair game. But Wigan winners and into the semi-final by 12 points to 4. So Wigan through to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup once again. And with me after the match, I've got a delighted Graham. Now, Graham, a fine victory, but a very hard-fought one.
Yeah, certainly was, Alan. We spoke about it during the week at training and said that we didn't think there'd be more than a dozen or so points available. That's why we had to play the type of game we played, and I know probably a lot of people would have liked to have seen more razzle-dazzle, but we had to ensure that it was mistake-free or as mistake-free as possible and just make sure we're in the next round.
And of course the conditions were absolutely abysmal, and as the game went on they got even worse.
Yeah, well I've never seen snow on a football field before, so it was quite a new experience for me, and I know the other New Zealand guys were the same. But the blokes responded well. There was a few of them with frostbite at half time, but they responded well, and you know, they played the type of game and handled the pressure that Oldham put on.
And they certainly did put some pressure on you. There was a series of tackles on your own line, in your own 22, when you really just had to defend and cling on for grim death.
Yeah, well, you know, we gave away a couple of silly penalties, which, you know, put ourselves under undue pressure. And then I don't want to be critical of the referee, but I felt that a couple of errors, he made a couple of errors that were quite critical and put us under extra pressure. But we were still able to keep our noses in front and come away with the win.
The tackle count must have been high, but straight away you had Dennis Betts on the field for an injury to Ian Lucas. Is that quite a serious injury?
Yeah, it's a shame. Ian only lasted a few minutes, and at this stage it looks as though he could have a cartilage problem. I've got my fingers crossed, and we'll get him checked out as soon as possible. But it will be a blow because Ian has been playing so well.
And of course, after the game, the players very cold. You said a bit of frostbite at half time, but at the end of the game, they all really must have looked forward to that hot shower.
Yeah, they, you know, they're all just rushing straight in there. I've never really seen anything like it. I've never seen players shivering like they were coming into the dressing room. I know they're English players and people are used to that type of thing, but it certainly opened my eyes to these type of conditions. But at training yesterday, one of the themes about training yesterday was being able to adapt to whatever conditions you know are there. Whether you're playing in the snow or on the beach, you've still got to be disciplined, stick to the plan, and come away with a win.
Well, thanks very much, Graham. So it's Wigan into the semi-final, but of course there are league matters to contend with, and there's a rearranged fixture at Featherstone on Wednesday. So we're looking forward to that encounter.